Have you ever wondered if your deepest desires, fears, and ambitions are truly yours, or shaped by history's greatest thinkers? Across centuries, philosophers like Plato, Aristotle, Hobbes, Rousseau, Nietzsche, and others have offered compelling insights into human nature. Though separated by time and culture, their ideas still resonate because they grapple with universal tensions: rationality versus impulse, self-interest versus empathy, and how much we can shape who we become. Plato believed our soul has rational, spirited, and appetitive parts. He used the allegory of a charioteer leading unruly horses, suggesting we must let reason direct our impulses. In modern psychological terms, the conscious mind steers unconscious drives. For Plato, self-mastery involves harmonizing competing desires rather than suppressing them. We've all felt torn between pleasure and responsibility, ambition and comfort. Recognizing that tension is the first step to more balanced living. Aristotle, Plato's student, saw us as social and rational beings who find happiness eudaimonia by cultivating virtue within a community. Virtue, he argued, is formed through habits. Practice courage, become courageous. Practice generosity, become generous. This echoes modern ideas about how repeated actions shape character. Think of building daily habits that foster honesty, compassion, or patience until they're second nature. Aristotle's view reminds us that our environment significantly influences whether these virtues thrive. In the early modern period, Thomas Hobbes took a darker view, describing life in a state of nature as solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. For Hobbes, we form social contracts to escape our inherent selfishness and fear. This perspective, although grim, underscores why laws and norms curb potential chaos. It's a prompt to remember how fragile cooperation can be without shared rules and mutual respect. Jean-Jacques Rousseau offered an opposing take. He believed we're born free and good, but society corrupts us. Rather than unbridled self-interest, he saw genuine empathy as our natural default. Think of how modern debate often circles around whether nature or nurture most shapes us. Rousseau's point is that social constraints can distort our original goodness. By questioning how many of our impulses stem from cultural conditioning other than innate drives, we may reconnect with deeper empathy. Hobbes and Rousseau's clash are: we innately competitive or cooperative? Persists in modern discussions of aggression, empathy, and what fosters prosocial versus antisocial behavior. David Hume and Adam Smith noted our capacity for fellow feeling, highlighting a dual nature. We act selfishly for survival, but also bond through empathy. Our context shapes which side prevails. Immanuel Kant brought a revolutionary focus on rational morality, believing we can follow universal moral laws rather than raw desire. His famous principle treats humanity not merely as a means, but always as an end, still informs modern human rights and dignity. However, moral ideals often collide with personal gain, fear, or group pressures. And should rise above these hurdles through rational self-discipline. Friedrich Nietzsche's bold critique questioned how many values are truly ours, and how many are imposed by cultural or moral traditions. He urged self-transformation and the rejection of values we haven't chosen. Though often misunderstood, his challenge remains: are you living by default scripts or forging your own path? Nietzsche's vision, daunting yet liberating, calls us to transcend herd mentality. Taken together, these thinkers suggest human nature is neither fixed nor one-dimensional. We have reason and emotion, selfishness and empathy, a longing for security and a drive for freedom. Modern psychology echoes these themes. Therapy explores unconscious urges and conscious choices, confirming that changing our thoughts and habits can reshape who we are. Stories bring these ideas home. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic Roman emperor, wrestled with ego, anger, and leadership burdens. He believed we can't control external events, but we can control our responses. This parallels modern concepts of resilience. In crisis, we can find calm by focusing on what we can influence. Similarly, René Descartes' "I think, therefore I am" emphasizes introspection as a path to certainty in a confusing world. We can guard against false beliefs by questioning them. Philosophy meets everyday life when we confront our limitations. Can I really change? Do I have to accept who I am? Aristotle says repeated practice can alter our character. Nietzsche implies we can break from inherited rules if we dare. Hobbes suggests forming structures that mitigate fear and self-interest. Each view nudges us to accept we're not locked into a single nature, but can be shaped by the influences we choose to cultivate. This process can unearth fears. What if our beliefs aren't ours? Or if we lack a fixed self? Yet the crux of human nature is our capacity for reflection and growth. Stability can be found in the act of questioning, guided by moral commitments that keep us from drifting. Which perspective resonates with your current challenges? If you're overwhelmed by conflict or chaos, Hobbes' warnings might inspire you to seek structure. If you feel stifled by convention, Nietzsche's call for authenticity could embolden you. If you seek harmony, Plato's model of balancing reason and desire might help. No single lens is definitive. Each can illuminate different facets of our experience. These lessons matter in leadership too. Understanding self-interest and empathy helps create fair yet inspiring environments. Whether adopting Hobbes' realism or Rousseau's optimism, a leader who balances structure with shared purpose can foster loyalty and creativity. In crisis, a stoic approach can preserve calm. Philosophical knowledge, far from abstract, helps us navigate personal and collective challenges. We must also be careful. Human nature arguments have been twisted to defend oppressive systems. Misreading Nietzsche, for example, has fueled toxic ideologies. Philosophers wrestled with universal dilemmas in specific historical contexts, so critical interpretation is essential to avoid harmful distortions. Modern neuroscience and psychology, meanwhile, complement philosophical ideas about habit formation, moral reasoning, and emotional drives. They offer data that fortifies ancient insights, showing us how deeply practice shapes neural pathways, or how stoic reframing aligns with proven mental health techniques. There's no final consensus on human nature, only an ongoing conversation we each join. Socrates taught that the unexamined life isn't worth living, nudging us to keep searching. Every moral dilemma, assumption, or conflict propels the dialogue forward. This open-endedness suggests a growth mindset. We're evolving beings, influenced by ideas, communities, and experiences. Look at your life. Are you at a crossroads, unsure if you're following your own calling or society's script? Are you torn between personal desire and moral duty? Each of these everyday dramas reflects millennia of philosophical debate. We honor the complexity of human nature by resisting easy answers. Moments of crisis can become turning points. Losing a job or facing heartbreak can reveal the illusions we clung to, compelling us to ask, who am I now? Nietzsche famously wrote that chaos bursts dancing stars. Painful though it may be, upheaval can spark profound transformation when guided by thoughtful reflection. Remember, these philosophers didn't present final truths. They refine their views continually. We can do the same. Rather than cling to a single interpretation, Platonic rationalism or Hobbesian cynicism, recognize we might need different facets of these frameworks at different life stages. We're not passive bystanders to philosophical thought. We can adapt it for our century, grappling with technology, global issues, and social complexities Plato or Aristotle never imagined. Yet the core questions, virtue, freedom, empathy, remain timeless, inviting us to co-create the next chapter of understanding. Ask yourself, how will you grow, given all these perspectives? Maybe you feel drawn to Plato's inner balance, Aristotle's habit-based virtue, Hobbes' structured cooperation, Rousseau's natural empathy, Kant's moral imperatives, Nietzsche's self-overcoming, or a stoic calm. Each path is an invitation, not a rigid code. Hopefully, this sparks your curiosity. Delve into original texts, the Republic, Meditations, Thus spoke Zarathustra. Or explore contemporary psychologists extending these traditions. Disagreement is productive. Philosophy thrives on debate. Let new ideas refine your outlook and awaken your sense of possibility. If you'd like to explore further, journal about areas where you're at war with yourself. Connect it to Plato's divided soul or Stoic emotional control. Observe how your surroundings shape your virtues, echoing Aristotle, and note when your moral compass clashes with social values, hinting at Nietzsche. Such self-inquiry can lay the groundwork for a more intentional life. Engage others in philosophical dialogue. Share a quote, discuss its relevance, or an online forum. By contributing your voice, you help weave the tapestry of shared insight and keep the conversation alive. Even small shifts matter. A pause before anger, a fair resolution to a conflict, or daily acts of kindness can alter your life trajectory and enrich society. Each step of self-understanding and refinement helps build a more thoughtful, empathetic world. So continue this dialogue. Reflect on the interplay between Plato's reason, Aristotle's virtue, Hobbes's realism, Rousseau's empathy, Kant's moral law, Nietzsche's bold self-definition, and other philosophical treasures. You're part of a timeless quest to comprehend human nature. And in that pursuit, you carve your own path, one informed by centuries of wisdom, uniquely yours. If you found this exploration meaningful, please like, share, and subscribe for deeper dives into history's greatest lessons and leadership insights. Let's keep the conversation about who we are and who we can become alive for generations to come.